Hey guys, thanks for watching that break. We do have Hurricane versus soO now coming up, and everyone's joining into the lobby. So it's going to be on Newkirk Precinct. Again, some other matches will be lining up, but as it was, this is the only match that had an opponent and was ready to go. soO, accepted instantly, and I definitely still want to see Kelazur, and I want to see, a couple other Protosses actually get through, because I have a feeling Hurricane might have trouble against Big Boss soO, but we'll see. Actually, the players are ready to go, so let's get into it.
Let's do it. Protoss versus Zerg. Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think that similar to how that last series was a little bit one-sided, I think this series may end up being a little bit one-sided, but I feel like at least with these kind of like Protoss versus Zerg one-sided games, unless the Zerg is doing some kind of crazy all-in, which I think is a little bit more rare, you still get to see like kind of an interesting game unfold.
Yeah, kind of. Thank you to Purg Stream. Purg is the word. For the 24-month resub. Probably the 24th time I've said that. So. It's a joke that's worth keeping on here. And thank you for that resub. Again, the donation sub, recent sub, whatever, is not going to work. And I'm going to have to find an actual workaround, I guess, as time goes on. There's no other way to do it, so that kind of sucks. Except just, making sure Rifkin streams every single time. Apparently I did not fix Twitch alerts either. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know. Just do the intros. In the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, it is soO.
And in the bottom right, once again, we have the red Protoss player, Hurricane. Sticking to that red color.
He likes the red. Who knew?
It's like you might say he's a red tornado.
Because he's a hurricane. Wait, what is a red tornado? Is that something I don't know?
That's a DC comic hero, superhero. He's like super duper strong dude.
Dude,
He's like
one of the.
He's like not one of the big bads. He's like one of the big goods. Like not quite Superman level, but obviously because Superman level. But he's like another really strong superhero.
I don't know that. I don't read that many comics, and I really don't like DC comics. So.
Did you never watch Young Justice?
No. Like 1 or 2 episodes maybe, but not a lot. I know.
It's a really good series if you ever get a chance.
I'm such a disappointment.
Yeah, I've accepted that.
Okay then. Whatever.
Okay, so I guess Newkirk Precinct. I've always felt like really weird about third expansions on this map because I feel like I see some Protoss players take like the north third expansion. I see some Zerg players take the forward third expansion, and it always just makes me feel uncomfortable because it breaks the logic of like what I normally think of with Protoss and Zerg expansion paths.
I mean, you can see Hurricane here is going to go ahead and scout both bases, probably continuously as the link chases him. But yeah, it does seem to be very stylistic of what base is chosen. I say Protoss is almost always like this one, but the Zerg, it's a little bit more up in the air. Hurricane bothers to get a Zealots. This isn't really necessary. If a Ling runs in, well, then that kind of is like annoying, but it's, it's not so different from the Overlord just chilling, because you don't have anything that attacks air. You could, maybe you just waited for an Adept, but oh well.
Well, Zombie Grub, it was really important that he denied the scouting so that nothing would ever be seen, including the Stargate that gets thrown down underneath the Overlord.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, clearly doesn't care that the Stargate's seen. And it might just be that Oracle opening in the fast third base. Maybe it doesn't even go into Phoenix's after, but soO should be prepared to Spore Crawlers. Takes this as his third base. I don't know if the probe saw that. It didn't see that before it went home. What a useless probe.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of pro players will just make the assumption anyways. Maybe there's like the super duper paranoid ones out there. They're like, wait a second, what year is it? Can I still be 2-based all in by Zerg players? And they'll actually be a little bit worried and try and confirm the scout. But I imagine most Protoss players these days, if they don't see the third, they just assume the third.
Yeah. Even those Ling Baneling all-ins that were so popular for like a week, still incorporated third without drones. So.
Okay, but I have some words about that. That is because pro players would do stuff like what Hurricane is doing, where they're like, let me get up my gateways, let me get up a couple of gateway units, let me get up a Stargate, let me start up my Oracle, and then I'll get the Mothership Core. I'm like, well, what are you expecting? Why wouldn't a Zerd player all in you at that point?
Right? And yet, it has died off, despite Protoss is still getting very late Mothership Cores, and I'm just gonna guess and assume that it's because Protoss players have gotten so good at defending even without their Mothership Core. Like, it usually pops as the attack happens, no matter, like, how late you've delayed it, so it has at least one photon overcharge, and then the rest is just done with, like, good SimCity and, you know, appropriately pulling the probes and all that. Like, Zergs were trying pretty hard to kill Protosses early on, yet even though it looks so promising with 3 units and a Mothership Core with barely any energy, it still wouldn't work.
Yeah, speaking not quite of like a big all-in attack or anything, but a decent number of Zerglings coming out right now for soO, looking to potentially get some good damage done over on the 3rd expansion, especially if there aren't too many gateway units, but Photon Overcharge plus, I think now the Void Ray, and even the Oracle. Actually, the Oracle being pulled back is a little bit surprising, because even though, yeah, it didn't exactly get a whole lot of damage done, there are Spore Crawlers there. Normally you can at least kill off like 1 or 2 workers, but Oracle is just banking energy, kind of sitting at home right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of energy. A second Oracle's even on the way, which is very, I think, odd. I mean, to see 1 Oracle, then another Oracle, okay, fine, they just want to get 2 Oracles, but it's Oracle, Void Ray, then Oracle. That's a little weird. I mean, he's applying a lot of pressure in very odd, you know, different amounts. 2 Adepts go to the 3rd base, I assume. The Void Ray still looking for Overlords, and the Oracle wants to get something done, but is going to have trouble against a Spore Crawler.
Yeah, it's going to at least get the guaranteed 2 kills, which is nice. Is going to time that up around the same time. The Adepts move into the 3rd and are going to be able to kill off at least a few more workers. Good shade out, and ooh, I actually really like this positioning. Adepts are literally covering each other's backs.
Yeah. They even changed into the naturals, so besides getting a couple more drones, they also get a little bit of the scouts, so the Oracle hasn't seen the natural yet. They are prepped with the Void Ray to go into that main base. This is going to be very interesting. He's going to try and kill that Spore Crawler?
So Zombie Grab, because I am a cheeky bugger, I know that 5 Oracles can kill a Spore Crawler and a Queen without losing any Oracles, but I don't know what the math is when a Void Ray is involved.
I'm not even sure the Spore Crawler would have lost against, you know, just the Void Ray without the help of the Queen.
Actually, that's a good question. I don't know that answer either.
Yeah, it was half health, the Queen. I mean, the Queen does add a lot of damage, don't get me wrong, but I'm just like, it would have been, the Void Ray still would have been very low on health if it had just been the Spore Crawler, but maybe it would have killed it, and that would have been totally worth, but you gotta assume there's a Queen in a Zerg's, you know, main base. I don't know about that. That was... I would have had my mind blown if that was really effective. I mean, talking about effectiveness, I guess the Oracles did end up getting 6 more kills? Yeah, I don't think that's effective.
Yeah, I mean, it got some decent damage done. I mean, 13 total workers killed. And granted, they were on the later... You have to remember, the time in which you kill workers is obviously very important. If you were able to kill workers at, like, the 2-minute mark, that would obviously be more impactful than killing them at the 20-minute mark. But obviously, a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the general idea. There are Overlord drop coming in.
Yeah, these Adepts, though, they're doing a surprisingly good job against the Bear Hydras. Lings finally come charging in to help, but it might still not be enough.
And the natural expansion is dropping him in, killing off 5 workers, and then Hurricane reacts.
Okay, alright, so it doesn't even bother dropping the other 2, forces out a Votan Overcharge. The Overlord is going to kill it before it reaches the other mineral line. Yes.
Oh.
I'm unable to unload, but it didn't matter. Yeah, so many Adepts are being warped in. The main base had gotten out of control, first of all. And then soO wasn't expecting the other Adepts into his 3rd base either, and I think his 4th base too. So Hurricane just got, well, everywhere at once. So
yeah, really nice job of that kind of big attack, and I think similar to how we weren't quite expecting it. I mean, he was getting up a lot of Adepts and everything, so I guess it seemed in the realm of possibilities, but that was just a really, really big attack that soO was super not prepared for. And I wonder if that also has to do with the fact that, you know, killing off 13 workers, maybe soO was thinking, okay, yeah, I have to replenish these workers. Those go into more drones as opposed to getting out more Lings.
And I didn't see his drone count, but I also have a feeling like... So the Ling Hydra pushes, I really felt like they fell out of favor, and, you know, you just had people getting upgrades for Lings, but still going into Roach Ravager, or of course going into Ling Baneling first, right? It wasn't just Ling and then Hydralisk, with the emphasis on the Hydralisk. Then the patch hit, so that might come back. But if that comes back, the quick Hydralisk without Banelings or Roaches, then it would be assumed that the Adeptalins would also come back. Which, yeah. I don't know if that much thinking really went into that game, but it wouldn't surprise me if Hurricane in the last week has had a lot of, like, ladder games where people have been trying to abuse Hydras, and he's just, you know what, F it. Like, let's just Adept all in him every single time.
Adept all. I mean, I feel like that is a common, as a Protoss player, that is a common Protoss response. Screw it, just, you know what, I'm getting too fancy, I'm trying to get too tricky right now, going for, like, all these kind of crazy late game units. I'm just gonna just make Adepts. Just make Adepts and shade them in, and
yeah.
You know what? We'll see how the cards fall when the Banelings come out.
Every race has an F-it build, okay? Like, for Protoss, it's Adepts versus, like, every race, and then for Terran, it's, like, a 3 racks versus at least Terran and Zerg. I don't know what our F-it is versus Protoss, to be honest. Do we have an F-it?
I guess Reactor Cyclone All-In is kind of the closest thing.
That is pretty brutal. I mean, I don't do that build, so I don't, like, remember that, but if I wanted to say... Well, I think TvP is so easy in my league, right? Like, around my skill level, so I don't I don't care to cheese.
But... I'm the exact opposite, where it's like TvP... Or, sorry, I guess I've, like, finally ascended to the point where it's, like, getting a little bit challenging again, but Protoss versus Terran was always, like, my best matchup, because Terran players in, like, a low diamond... just don't know how to split up their units. So, like, if I get up High Templar, I just kind of win. Because I'd be like, all right, well, your army's clumped up, and I threw down 4 storms, and literally every single unit you have got hit by all 4 of the storms. So, I was like, why do you have High Templars at 5 minutes? Why can't you split, like, 8 Marines versus a High Templar?
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. That would just about do it. That aside, we are into game number 2. Surprisingly, in the top left, down a game, it is the Red Zerg soO.
And in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Protoss player finally switching up his color. Give it up for Hurricane.
soO probably joined the lobby
up
first.
1-0.
Stole his color.
Stolen. Well, Hurricane still stole that victory away from soO, who I think we were both in pretty heavy agreement that we would have heavily favored soO in this series.
Yeah, well, okay, so there's like one little thing about that, and it's that, yeah, I think soO still has good ZvP, and I think that Hurricane, if you just look at the 2 names and look at the 2 results, like, it would be soO, obviously, right? He's in the freaking round of 4 for the GSL. But there are some theories that Protoss is kind of overpowered right now in the matchup, and there's always the problem of the all-ins, you know? I mean, I'm not like trying to balance, complain, or anything like that, but Protoss is probably the strongest race for bringing out the, well, an all-in could maybe take a game from a better opponent. Like, I really try not to be too biased. I think that is the race that everyone says that about. So it doesn't surprise me that much that a surprise Adept all-in would just about do it. But I would have thought that soO, yeah, I would have thought that soO would have been a little more prepared or played a different style. Also, because I think the last time we saw him play ZvP, he was just doing Roach Ravager or Ling Baneling, not Ling Hydra.
Yeah, I guess also a part of that whole like Protoss stereotype is just because if you compare it to like what Zerg and Terrans do, I feel like Protoss has more clearly defined differences in their unit compositions and build orders for like the different types of attacks or like big all-ins compared to Zerg and Terran, who it's like, okay, well, either way you're going to have like a bunch of Zerglings, you're probably going to have a bunch of Marines and maybe some like Marauders or something in the mix. Like, typically, Protoss, you're like, okay, I'm going all Stalkers, I'm going to all Adepts, I'm making 5 Void Rays.
Yeah, there's a lot of dedication, for sure.
Yeah.
Single Adept proves to be a little bit of a complication. soO just didn't have any Lings out in the field, so I had to quickly try and build cancel, and he did a very good job of it, so the Adept doesn't get anything, but I still think that was a worthwhile Adept Shade, because well, she also gets out.
Yeah. Stalker follow-up from Hurricane is also going to pick off the Overlord, which did scout out. I guess the second Overlord also going to scout out to the Twilight Council that's chrono boosting out Resonating Glaives. It's also worth noting, once again, we got a Protoss player who's throwing down literally every form of tech possible that they're planning in the early game before making that Mothership Core.
Yeah. If the first Overlord didn't see it, the second Overlord is still chilling. So like, yeah, he really knows what's going on here. But this, I mean, last game was not a 2-base Adept all-in that was so like, oh, I just scouted it and then I defended it and it was super easy, which 2-base all-ins can actually be that easy. It was a 3-base all-in. You know, you get a lot of gateways. I think, you know, you don't get the gases at the 3rd base. And it can be a very big surprise, because soO is, you know, there's that just sense of relief and comfortableness, that's a word, that you feel when you see, when you see a 3rd base from any race, actually. Like, you see a 3rd base from Terra, and you're like, okay, I'm going to assume they're not going to all-in me. And then only, like, one person has an all-in with 3rd base, and that's Ryung. And then there's Protoss 3rd bases where they don't even have to build a lot of probes, and there's Zerg all-ins, and they don't bring any drones to the 3rd base. I mean, there's a lot of variety, but you can just get into these assumptions, and you can be very wrong. These Adepts, there's only 4 of them, but the Warp Prism is around to help pick them up, carry them over to that main base.
Yeah, 3rd expansion's still not thrown down also, so this may end up being a pretty big commitment over here from Hurricane to get something done.
He does warp in 4 more Adepts. He kind of faked out not only me, but of course soO as well, so the Lings have to scurry back and deal with this. But while soO does have a Baneling nest, the Banelings weren't quite ready. There's only 2 of them, and if Hurricane had been a little bit faster, he probably could have even sniped them, but picks up instead in the Warp Prism. Almost got these Queens. Oh, he wants it so bad.
Yeah, Warp Prism getting a little bit lower on health, so he has to be careful with that. Looks like a Queen from the main base was even moving forward to try and snipe off the Warp Prism to try to make its way to the main base. And looks like Hurricane may be doing that very soon, but there are a lot of Zergans trying to jump in at the front, killing off a sentry. I mean, not exactly super ideal. I'm sure soO would have loved to have busted in there, but still, killing off a sentry and forcing out so many force fields is unbelievably ideal.
Yeah, it was pretty good. 3rd base is still going to go down, and a lot more sentries are being warped in. I mean, while soO looks to be dealing with the Adept harassment okay, keep in mind that he has been making a lot of Lings. There was that first Ling flood that just kind of got murdered by the Adepts, and the Banelings had to help out. And he's really just distracting soO. I mean, Hurricane's got some really good multitasking going on here. He finally loses the Adepts, and his Warp Prism is so low on health, it'll probably be picked off, and that'll be the end of it. In fact, he's assuming it will be, and he's making another Warp Prism already.
Oh, I really like that. I think that's a really smart decision, because if you look at this situation, soO has made an insane number of Zerglings and these Banelings even being made, and really the big focus I think for Hurricane is just going to be make sure that my 3rd expansion gets up. If that Warp Prism does die, he is up a creek without a paddle, so making a 2nd Warp Prism is a really nice way to just keep soO at home.
Oh, well, that was dangerous. He was going out in the wide open trying to take the Xel'Naga, but soO's army was just there. Well, there wasn't a lot of Banelings, just a lot of Lings, so maybe it would have been fine anyway, but I still think that was kind of scary for Hurricane.
Well, all the production for Hurricane is finished up, so he's going to go for the big attack, and this is a really nice map for it.
He also canceled that 2nd Warp Prism once he knew the other one was going to get out, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Not using it to pick up and drop, but still reinforce some points. Still gonna be very nice. And there's just not a lot of Banelings. There's also just not a lot of Ravagers either. 5 of them? It's not too bad to deal with.
Oh man, but all of those force fields that soO forced out earlier are definitely coming in handy right now. The Immortals are surviving, but both their shields are gone, and a lot of the Ravagers have managed to survive. If soO can get another round of units out, he may be able to hold over here, but it is looking really, really grim for him right now.
Yeah, keep in mind that Hurricane does not have as many probes as he would want with the 3rd base, and no gas is there either, so if he was just absolutely totally crushed with this, he would be in a bad position, but he's not getting crushed. If anything, he's still taking very even trades. And following with a Dark Shrine.
Yeah, I thought it was going to actually be trading out a lot worse after he ran out of force fields over here, but does finally get enough energy for 2 more, traps out a lot of those Ravagers, and is taking a pretty good series of trades once again.
The Immortals are starting, they've already just chunked through all the Roaches. Ravagers are going to start going down soon too, and there's no Overseers. God. The DTs are warped in offensively. Oh no. I think so the Depths also shitted into that third base and killed a couple of drones, but this fight is over.
Yeah, soO doesn't even realize, I think, that there are DTs, because he's not making an Overseer or anything right now. Maybe he just can't afford to make an Overseer, but as the Adept shade into the natural expansion, drones start getting massacred, and Hurricane is actually going to be able to take a 2-0 versus soO. Who would have thought?
Well, I definitely didn't. I mean, at least a 2-1 and just barely, but nope, 2-0. It's true that soO doesn't have the best track record in online tournaments. He does sometimes just feel like that guy that does so much better offline, but still didn't expect this from Hurricane.
Yeah, a bit surprising, but either way, a win's a win. Moves on to, I believe, the round of 8, so already securing himself, I think, the first spot in the round of 8.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, so this probably already started, but I kind of want to join in Kelzer versus Hero. If we get like a game 2 or something, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be alright.
Hold on. Wait a second. I think they're not out of the chat channel yet.
Yeah, I see that. Well, you try and grab them. We'll see if it can happen. See if the dream comes true. We're gonna go to a commercial break. We'll see what's up. See you guys soon.